Hey guys, Argent Templar here. So something we do a fair bit on this channel is I have a diverse range of interests and I have a lot of different stuff I'm interested in and like to do. So I do videos on a lot of different topics. So this is kind of an experiment, I guess, and if people really like this, maybe I'll do some more stuff like it. So this is I don't know if I've mentioned my degree is in political science. I always wanted to go into policy development. Um, that's kind of my passion. I know it's kind of strange, but I like doing that. I like making things more efficient. And at the moment, I'm unemployed and job searching, and I just couldn't fucking take the. I should try not to swear this. This is trying to be more serious. I couldn't stand doing job applications anymore, so I decided to get some practice, and I wrote the Job Seekers Bill of Rights. I did this in approximately like 20 minutes, but I think it holds up pretty well. I think it's not bad. So I'm gonna do this. We're gonna go through this together, have a bit of fun. If you have any comments, if you think I missed anything, if you think anything's just crazy, we can have a discussion about it. I'm gonna tell you right away if you're one of those but my freedom uh, people, you probably aren't gonna like this. Um, I make no secret that I'm fairly kind of like, I don't know what you call it, populist on economics. Um, but I'm not really a big fan of corporations. Um, I mean, I support capitalism and market economy. I don't have this like Randian view of capitalism being heroic and government being like the ultimate evil, I guess, which a lot of center-right people do. So this is the Job Seekers Bill of Rights based on my experiences and the experiences of people I've read. So, the following is a list of conditions that all employers who post vacant positions or otherwise advertise, so that would be on any internet job board, in a newspaper, or just say we have an open position, uh, that our hiring must comply with throughout the application process. Failure to adhere to any of the following is subject to stiff fines and possible imprisonment. Then people say that seems a bit edgy, a bit hardcore. I understand how hard it is to police this stuff. I'm not stupid. I understand proving this shit is difficult. And when you have a scenario where it's hard to police something, one policy recommendation is just to make the penalties really stiff and scare people into not doing it. Because I understand this is hard to prove. So you kind of have to, whenever it is proven and whenever you do have evidence, you just have to crack down on it. Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, that's my theory, and I have some other penalties mentioned, but I think they should be fairly severe, like enough to hurt the company, because the basis of this, and I'll get into the actual stuff, but the basis of this for me is you have rights as like a person and as an employee, and you're not a sorry about that. You're not a serf. Um, this isn't a serf state. You have rights. The person you aren't like this isn't the medieval era. They can't just you don't live to serve your master, your lord and master, that kind of thing. So you have rights, and you have a right to certain level of treatment. And I don't care that they're the employer and that they're going to be paying you. I think for to have like a functioning society, and just because it's gone so far, it's I don't know. But my freedom, I'm trying to be civil. So let's just go through this. Article 1. It is hereby illegal to advertise a position that the company does not intend to hire anyone to fill. Likewise, it is illegal to advertise the position if an internal candidate is already guaranteed to receive said position. Similarly, it is illegal to interview anyone or otherwise give a false impression of a candidate's chances when said company knows that they will not hire said person for certain. I've had this happen a number of times. I took a day off work. I drove like 2 hours to another city, and when I got there, the hiring manager said, "We don't hire people with public sector experience. We have no intention of even letting you have an interview." And I think that should be illegal. I think if they do that, there should be fines. This was before I came up with the idea, but I think if you go to an interview and they have no intention of hiring you, they should have to reimburse all your expenses and pay you at least an hour of salary of whatever the job is, whatever the rate was going to be of the job that they were interviewing you for. You can't advertise a position if you know you're not going to hire anyone. This happens all the time. I know when I used to work for the government, this happened all the time. They would do it and it was already guaranteed to an internal position. If there are laws requiring them to advertise it, I think they should be repealed. Um, I don't really see anything kind of controversial about that. I understand it's hard to prove, but it should be on the books anyways. It is hereby, Article 2, it is hereby illegal to ask for information that a company knows it will not read or use. For instance, a company may not ask for a resume if they only make their decisions based on an application, and may not ask for an application if they make their decisions solely based on the resume. Also, if a company requires extensive written answers on its application form, then said company is legally obligated to read all the written answers or be fined accordingly. Once again, I understand there's a lot of applications, but I'm just tired of it. Like, I had one job application that asked for a complete history of all my computer use with dates, all my internet use and skills with dates. That would be like dozens of pages. It's not, and I know they aren't going to actually read it. I know they're going to, like, ask me that, and then they're just going to throw it out when they get it. So, no, you can't do that. If you're, like, a lot of these companies ask you for, like, a book. They ask you like to write extremely long, detailed answers, and they get like 10,000 applications, and they aren't going to read it. They aren't going to like think about it. It's just because they can, and it doesn't. There's no cost to them for asking you for it. And a lot of these companies use pre-screeners on your application form or your resume, and they decide whether or not to interview you based on that. So I think it should be illegal. I don't think they should be able to ask you for stuff they know they aren't going to read. Because it's a waste of your time, and your time has value. And I don't care that they're the employer. I don't care that they're going to pay you, and I don't care my freedom and my free market. It's they are wasting your time, and your time is money. Your time is your finite time on Earth. Article 3. It is hereby illegal to ask for the same information multiple times on a job application. Applicants shall not be required to enter their education, work experience, or other information more than once. Applications may ask for more detail or other clarifying questions, but they may not ask for the exact information multiple times. I've had this happen on God knows how many applications. I will have to completely list my education, including dates, multiple times. They just keep asking for it. They'll ask for work experience, they'll ask for skills, they'll just keep repeating the same fucking, sorry, I'm trying not to swear, the same questions over and over and over again. Um, and yeah, they just keep doing it. And it's not fair. And people say life isn't fair. Well, but you try to make laws to create to make society as fair or as civilized as you can. And I don't think it should be legal for them to ask you, especially with how poorly made a lot of these application forms are, but that's never here nor there, to keep entering the same information over and over again. Especially if they ask you for a resume, and any resume made by a competent person will list your education on it with dates, and you shouldn't have to re-enter it. Your time is valuable. I could have got a lot more radical with this. This is just kind of like what I thought was like common sense stuff. It is hereby illegal to ask for Article 4. It is hereby illegal to ask for information about an applicant's personal life unless it is directly explained on said application how this information relates to the position being advertised. For instance, asking about where said person has traveled within the last 5 years is not pertinent to the application, and unless a specific explanation is offered, this shall hereby be banned. I have actually had that exact question asked of me, to list everywhere I've traveled with dates and like other like where I stayed in the last 5 years, and I'm not kidding. Um, I've had that asked. I've had just random questions about my personal life asked. Um, a lot of applications ask you about your sexual orientation, um, stuff like that. Just personal questions like about your family life, about your beliefs, about and I'm not talking like because I applied to some jobs with World Vision. They asked me how I would fit in with the Christian culture. That's fine. That's directly relevant to their organization. But a lot of jobs just ask you extremely personal information. They ask like for your Facebook account and stuff like that, and I just don't think that should be allowed. We're 10 minutes in, so I'm just gonna split this video into pieces. So I will do Article 5 and then I'll split this in half. Article 5. A job application may ask for a resume specifying that said resume should include work experience in education, or ask the applicant to list their work experience in education on an application form, but may not ask for both. For instance, an applicant shall not have to fill out prior degrees, institutions, and dates. That's generally the kind of stuff they ask for, while also providing a resume that contains the same information. If said company argues that they cannot be sure of the quality of submitted resumes, sorry, that means they don't know if the person may have used a different format of resume that didn't include their education and dates. What kind of resume that would be, I have no idea. Then there must be an option on all applications that says please see resume, or I acknowledge that my resume contains the below information in an easily readable format, allowing the person to skip filling out that section without any detriment to their candidacy. I don't really see what's controversial about that. That seems pretty commonsensical to me. Um, yeah, I mean, if I'm giving in a resume, my resume is 2 pages. I've spent a lot of time making it easy to read. It has all my work experience and dates and like job descriptions. It has all my education, dates, institution, job description, program descriptions, that kind of thing. I don't understand why I have to spend, and it can take 20 minutes because I have my high school and 2 postgraduates and my undergraduate degree, and filling that stuff out can take like 20 minutes to half an hour, depending on how poorly made the application form is. And filling out your work experience, I have a lot of part-time jobs I've done in the past, and filling all that out takes a long time, especially with how poor quality this stuff is. And I can't imagine it's easier to read because literally for me, it has the name of the job, where I worked, the employer, and the date. And I have a section called work experience. So they should not be allowed to ask you for that if they're already asking you for a resume. Or they don't ask for a resume and they ask for an application, they make you fill it out there. And if they now there is some argument, I guess, that people make really bad resumes that don't include basic information. That's fine. Then you include a checkbox that says I verify and swear that my my resume includes the pertinent information that is requested below. Easy, saves the person like 20 minutes. So that's the first half. I'm gonna just cut the video here and then do part 2. Article 6. Job seekers must be given at least 24 hours advance notice of a cancelled or rescheduled job interview. If the interview is cancelled or rescheduled in a period less than 24 hours, then the company is required to pay the applicant for any lost wages or other expenses incurred as a result of said cancelled or rescheduled interview, in addition to an hour's wages billed at the rate of the position that they were applying for. And if the interview is going to be longer than an hour, like they had to do like they were scheduled for a complete battery of tests, they have to pay them more than an hour. The same also applies to phone interviews that are missed by a company who schedules them. That seems pretty fair to me. I had a company insist that I drive 2 hours to be at an interview for like 7 in the morning, so I would have had to get up at like 4:30 to get to their interview. And when I got up at 4:30, I found at 4 they had canceled the interview, and I mean 4 a.m. So they just canceled it. No repercussions. No sorry. Just it's canceled. Could you come in next week? No explanation. I don't think that should be legal. I had one company who said we're going to do phone interview, and I had 2 phone interviews, and they um no, I was going to have two phone interviews, and they missed the first one with no explanation, no sorry, and then they emailed me 3 days later saying, "Okay, can we have a phone interview today?" So I said yes, and then they missed that one too, and I took like time out of work, like I took a couple hours off to go and wait for the interview, because they give you a range, like between this hour and this hour. So I went and waited, and they didn't call me, and then they were going to reschedule again, and I just said forget it. They should have had to pay me for that. Like I said, the company that canceled the interview should have had to pay me. Um, I think that's pretty straightforward. Let's see here. Article 7. Companies must inform applicants that they are not being considered for said position or did not receive said position. Companies must tell said applicant that they are not being hired and provide brief feedback as to why said candidate was not chosen. In the event of an immense number of applicants for a particular position, an automated message is fine, provided that some indication that the candidate is not being considered is sent. This happens even if you have interviews. They won't tell you you didn't get the job. They won't provide any feedback. I've never actually gotten feedback, and I've done a lot of interviews over the years. Even if you ask for it, they generally won't give it to you. Um, so that is pretty straightforward. People say, well, they have like thousands of applicants. Well, they do that so that they can like skim the cream off the top and just use algorithms and stuff to look through and pick the absolute best people without having to actually consider the applications, which is why they open it up to so many. And I don't like that. I kind of feel if they're going to hire people, they should treat them with some respect. I don't know, only let a certain number of people apply to a position, but don't do what happens now, where I apply to about 60 to 70 jobs a week, and I hear back from maybe one of them that I'm no longer being considered. And even times I've had interviews, they say, well, we can't be bothered to send you a quick one sentence email saying that you're not being considered. So you'll spend hours and hours of your time for for companies, and they won't even bother to tell you that you're not in the running anymore. And they expect you to often rearrange your life or prepare to rearrange your life on behalf of them, like to get ready to move. And they can't even have the decency to do that. Article 8. Any investigation into an employee's private life not limited to Twitter and Facebook is hereby banned and subject to severe penalties. An employer may of course investigate LinkedIn or other professional profiles online, but anything related to the applicant's personal life is removed from consideration, and stiff penalties will apply if the company is found investigating someone's private life or personal views. A lot of companies will ask for your Facebook account for the password so they can log in and view your complete history. They'll ask to see your emails. They'll ask to see like stuff about your personal life. They'll ask you about your political views. It's all illegal. It shouldn't be allowed. Um, it's an invasion of privacy, and any company that does that should be subject to severe penalties. I don't real People say but my freedom, and they'll say but my free market. I don't care. It's completely unacceptable. Article 9. Job descriptions must describe the actual position being advertised. If the job description does not match the job being advertised and it is revealed at the interview, the company shall be liable to compensate the applicant for whatever expenses they incurred to come to said interview, including lost wages, and pay the applicant an hour's wage at whatever the rate the position would have been. I've had this happen a lot. I had the job application being completely wrong. I applied for like a research data position, and I got there and they said it was like a management training program. And I'm like, but that's not what I applied for. And they said, well, we kind of had to change it, and we probably should have emailed you. Well, that's unacceptable. It's to my view, it's a breach of a contract. We had an oral contract. We had an agreement, um, and they broke it. So I think that should be illegal. Um, I think it should be illegal, and I think they should have to pay you for it because they're wasting your time and they're wasting your money. Um, okay. Article 10. The salary range for all positions shall be included on the advertisement, and no applicant shall be asked for their desired salary without the salary range of the position being made explicitly clear. This is something they do to disqualify people. They do this to intimidate people. They ask you to list your desired salary so that they could just eliminate people. It's just a game where they try to make you ask for a very low salary. It's just it's just unnecessary. People like you probably, even if you do research, the research isn't really accurate or easy to understand as to what compensation rates are. It varies extremely wildly. It varies from company to company. It's not really related to experience either. And finally, Article 11, there shall be transparency at all parts of the job application process. If an interview is scheduled, a candidate is no longer considered, or any other unexpected changes should occur, then the applicant must be provided with a satisfactory explanation. Likewise, companies may not simply stop responding to emails as a means of terminating a candidate, which is what's happened to me a number of times, where they will simply stop responding to emails. They'll say, "Oh, we'll reschedule your interview and never get back to me," or just give us some time, or there's any number of excuses, and they use that as a way to stealth terminate your candidacy. It's bullshit. I don't think it should be allowed. Um, yeah, what else is there to say? I think that's pretty straightforward. I think all this stuff is pretty common sense. I don't think it's particularly objectionable. I understand it's hard to enforce, but there are circumstances where this could be enforced. You could have like anonymous uh, lines, like Crime Stoppers, like employer stoppers or something. I'm sure that you could have stiff penalties. You could have like a review board or an investigation panel and stuff like that, um, where people can report this. I don't mind spending public money on this. I think once you start investigating some companies and start fining some people and maybe put a couple people in jail, a lot of this stuff will dry up. Fear works pretty well. Um, Even if there's like a 1 in 100 chance something might happen, that's enough to put a stop to most of it. That's generally how these things work. So that's my thoughts on the matter. Please comment, add anything you think I missed. If you think this is just crazy left-wing stuff, let me know. This is Argid Templar. I'll post this. Have a good day, guys, and God bless. Signing out.